lost control of the majority of its hacking arsenal, which could fall into the...
I want to draw attention to a statement that the goal and that a great many others have been calling for. So here is the quote. We now need a digital Geneva Convention that will commit governments to protecting civilians, recognize that the protection of civilians requires the active assistance of technology companies, and companies plays a unique role in the internet's first responders, and we need a safer place, affirming our role as a neutral digital space. The Central Intelligence Agency lost control as weapons. Those are weaponized viruses, Trojans, smart TVs, computer systems of the world, and then confirmation from now, this is such an arsenal and stored it all in one place. The material, as a result of it being passed around, a number of different tip-off from a virus researcher who says that he believes that Beck's Apple Macintoshes, in particular their not only is that material being spread around contractors for hire, but now may be in the black market, or is perhaps being used both sides of the fence. They're called grey hats. What appears to be the largest arsenal of Trojans and viruses in the world that people in government, politicians, CEOs, and average people use, appears to have covered up that fact. See some press reportage, and we've within the last couple of months that it had disclosed that to the public, at least, has not warned the public. It's a very interesting question, I think, about who it is told in government and when in the election. After the election, was President agency not acted with speed to come together with Apple microsystems? Now, this brings into question the entire concept, stated also by many other experts, that it is impossible to, well, it means that if you build them, eventually you will lose them. They are just information be used on the internet. So they must be placed on the internet. They can get out of control, and there's a very easy cover for any grey mark that material and start a company with it, start a consulting company, a hacker for hire company to us, so we can tell you what has been built and so on, can start to develop countermeasures. Now, some of those countermeasures will also say that they have developed countermeasures, but others say any cyber weapons themselves. We've published documents describing the world and our sources being hacked using the details of how those cyber weapons operate. There is a limited ability for Samsung TVs, for Android phones that are produced by no. Now, WikiLeaks has a lot more information. I want to announce today that after considering these calls from some of the manufacturers, we have decided to technical details we have so that fixes can be developed and
Well, for more on this, we can now cross live to our correspondent in London, Polly Boyker. Polly, good to see you. Vault 7, and they're claiming that this is the largest ever leak of secret CIA files. According to the arsenal of cyber weapons that it has, things like malware, viruses, Trojans survey their
6 months, the software undergoes what the whole data, it makes new predictions. Now this model is somewhat similar to what scientists will find a similar use here.
Thank you, Dan. We're going to move on now to test 24. Device, you will never be short of storage to take a picture or a video on your iPhone. And I'm sure that's happened to you.
Especially when you're traveling. Normally, this is meant for old iPhones, whose memory like this. Just
Which is
using
interesting for a tech person.
using all normal apps. I haven't uploaded it, which is not enough. So now this could be a useful tool because there are 3 different models in this system. So all you need to do is plug in into the lightning port of your iPhone, and it's done through the app. So as you can see here, there are different of all the clutter, or clutter I say, because there's so much that you don't go through, but still phone breaks or if it's stolen, you have a liquid backup. And secondly, if you want to play heavy files like mobiles into this drive from your computer, and then you plug it in and you can play the iPhone without put. So it's a charging port, so you can just connect it to your computer.
It's really small. You can have it in your purse. T4, we hope you enjoyed it. And do stay with us here on France 24.
The FBI and CIA history, CBS News reports. The WikiLeaks Vault 7 release, which contained litigation and manhunt by the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Central Intelligence Agency Inland Security correspondent Ffmpeg reported Wednesday evening.